Yo, what's up guys? Before the video starts, I just want to say this is a highly opinion-based video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get straight into it. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today's video is about the rarest multiplayer cars in Asphalt 9. So I have 3 cars from each classes and some honorable mentions to go along with that. Let's get to the list. Starting in D class, our first car is the Infinity Project Black S. This car is pretty rare in multiplayer. I think my entire life of playing Asphalt 9, I think I've only seen 2 or 3 of these. But it's not too difficult of a car to unlock. It is pretty bad at 1 star, as you can see in this gameplay. My car is only at 1 star, and this car is not really too easy to max either. Its car hunts come out not too often, and the drop rates for the car hunts are absolute garbage. And it comes out in some Japanese events, but no one really wants to spend tokens to max this car out. So yeah, that's probably why you don't see too many of them, is because the car kind of is trash at every star except for 4 stars, which is max. So yeah, it's kind of a hard car to max, and because of that, no one really uses it at 1 star, not even 2 stars or 3 stars. So yeah, these are really rare to see in multiplayer, but if you have it, it's decent for the collection. It's a nice looking car, I would say. Just, yeah, they're really rare in multiplayer. Our second car in D class is the Honda Civic Type R. This one is a little bit more common than the Infinity Project Black S, but still, it is kind of rare to see one. I have seen a couple though. It's not the rarest car ever, but yeah, it still is kind of rare to see one. It's not that bad of a car. Its acceleration is its best stat overall. It has decent handling and drifting and decent nitro, and its top speed is mediocre. So yeah, overall, it's not a bad car. Its car hunts don't come out that often. But I was able to 3-star mine when the car hunt came back. And yeah, overall, not a bad car. It's not the funnest thing to drive, but it kind of gets the job done. And yeah, that's the Honda Civic Type R. And the final car in D class is the Ital Design Da Vinci. This car is only obtainable in the 1v1 game mode, and it hasn't been out for quite some time. So who knows if this car is even obtainable anymore. I'm sure Game Off will bring it back one day, but right now this car is impossible to obtain if you guys don't have it. If you do have it, I highly recommend giving it a try in multiplayer. Yeah, and I guarantee you, if you play multiplayer for the next 24 hours, you will not see any Da Vincis. That's just how rare they are. Every time I play multiplayer, I never see one. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 poking around in multiplayer. But yeah, I mean, it's not even that bad of a car. Its drifting is fine. Its handling's okay. Its nitro is also decent. Its top speed could have been better, and its acceleration is fine. So overall, it's not a bad car, but it is kind of hard to max due to being only obtainable in the 1v1 game mode. And for all the honorable mentions, I will not have gameplay footage for them. I will just show them in the garage. And our first honorable mention in D class is the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. This car is pretty good. It's actually one of the kings of D class. I don't know why it's so rare to see them, but I have seen a few, so that's why it's an honorable mention. And yeah, let's move on to C class. Our first car in C class is the Aston Martin V12 Speedster. This car was released in the Heatwave season update, and it's a low-end C-Class car, and yeah, it can't even beat the H2 speed. I'm pretty sure even the Viper ACR can even beat this car. It's not a great car. I have mine at 3 stars, and I only did that for the Ultima RS special event in the British Tour season. But anyway, talking about the performance, its nitro efficiency is pretty good. Its handling and drifting are decent, kind of sluggish, could have been better. Its acceleration is mediocre, and its top speed is not that good. So yeah, this car is definitely not worth it, and it's only been out in a couple of car hunts, so it's probably not the easiest thing to max, and that is why you never really see it in multiplayer. Also because it's not that great of a car. Our next car in C class is the Ferrari F40. Now the Ferrari F40 is not too rare, but it is more rare, I should say, than more of the other cars I was looking at in C-Class. Like, you don't see as many F40s as like Gallardos or McLaren GTs. And yeah, so I think the F40 is actually a pretty rare car. I actually don't see them as much anymore. And I mean, it's not the hardest car to obtain. I got mine to 3 stars in the latest car hunt that came out a couple months ago, I believe. Actually, more than a couple months ago. It was like a year ago, but I got my F40 to 3 stars. Honestly, it's not that bad at 3 stars, but it's, you know, kind of hard to max. And it doesn't stand out at 3 stars. Its acceleration is very poor. Its handling and drifting is mediocre, and nitro efficiency is also mediocre. And its top speed at 215 is not the worst. So overall, it's a fun car to drive. I really wish I could max it. I'll be sure to try to max it next car hunt. And yeah, that's the Ferrari F40. And our final car for C-Class is the Renault RS01. You guys knew it was coming. This is the rarest car in C-Class by a long shot. Now, I told you guys that the F40 was not that rare, and well, it's a lot less rare than this car. The Renault RS01 is, for some reason, a very rare car, and although it's not the worst car ever, it's certainly not that great. Its handling drifting is what kills this car. I mean, its acceleration is pretty good. Its top speed is also not that great either. Its nitro efficiency is actually pretty good, so yeah. This car came out in a Grand Prix originally, and it came back a couple times in like key packs and whatnot, and it's never really been like, you know, easy to star up. I mean, some people have it maxed, but they don't really use it because there's just so many better options like the 599X Evo and even the Gallardo and the Aranero Huseria. So yeah, overall, it's a decent car, but it's pretty rare to see one in multiplayer due to not being that great. And I actually don't really have any honorable mentions for C-Class, so we're going to be moving straight to B-Class. Our first car in B-Class is the Porsche 911 GT1 Evolution. So the GT1 Evolution is kind of a not so awesome car. It is one of the worst cars in B-Class, and it's very unenjoyable to drive due to its sluggish handling and sluggish acceleration, and its top speed on top of that is not good at all. Its nitro efficiency is the only good stat this car actually has, but here's the thing. The 911 GT1 Evolution is not the easiest thing to max in the world. It has come out in quite a bit of car hunts, but the drop rates are not the best, and also it came out in some Porsche packs like the Porsche update. It came out in that update, and yeah, not a lot of players want to spend tokens to star this thing up, and it's just such a terrible car to drive that's why you never see them in multiplayer. So yeah, and my car is only at 1 star. That's why I am doing terrible in the gameplay. But I hate this car, and I'm sure a lot of people do, and that's why it's not seeing a multiplayer at all. Our next car in B-Class is the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. Now, this car only came out a couple seasons ago in the most pay-to-win season, the Raging Bull season. It came out in a special event, and honestly, the special event wasn't too tough. Unfortunately, I was not able to unlock it, though. But yeah, the Sesto Elemento is a pretty okay car in B-Class. It's not a king, but it's actually pretty good in the class. I'd say it's pretty high up there. It's a 6-star B-Class car. Yeah, it's pretty high-end in its class. And I have not even seen any of these things. I mean, like, literally, I've probably seen, like, one in the entire time it's been out. I think I've seen one Sesto Elemento in multiplayer. Just one. No others. Just one. And so yeah, it's a pretty rare car, and if you have it, congratulations, because it's a really good looking Lamborghini, but yeah, it's kind of difficult to max and expensive for that matter. And our final car in B-Class, and I had a tough time deciding between the Ferrari Roma and this. This is the Draco GTE. Now, honestly, now thinking about it, the Ferrari Roma would have probably been a better choice, but I decided to do the Draco GTE because I have that at higher stars, but also, I'd say they're both equally rare. So the Draco GTE is a car that was released in the electric season in a car hunt. It's only been out twice, I think, maybe 3 times, but it's only been out 3 times, and although not being the greatest car in B class, it's pretty fun to drive. It can do punches and floaties, which is what makes it fun. But yeah, it's kind of like a 488 GTB or ID Zeruno. I don't know. It's not the best car, but it's pretty fun to drive, and honestly, I should see a little bit more than there is. It's a fun challenge to take if you are a pretty skilled player. I think it's a pretty fun challenge to take this thing on multiplayer against Corvettes and Huracans. But that's the Draco GTE. And for B class, we actually have quite a bit of honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is the Nissan GTR 50 Ital design. This car is essentially an Evo killer, but unfortunately it was in the Drive Syndicate 4, which made it kind of hard to get higher stars. Our next car is the Arash AF8 Falcon Edition. This car was released in a Looper Pre a while back, and honestly, the reason why it's not seen a lot is because it's a pretty bad car until it's maxed, and maxing it is a pain. And our next car is the Ford GT Mark II. This car is the slowest car in B class, and it was released in a Grand Prix all the way back in the American season, and it was released in a couple of key hunts. So overall, it's not the hardest car in the world to obtain, but it's slow, but it has really good acceleration. Handling and drifting is good, and its nitro efficiency is good. So honestly, there should be more. And our last honorable mention is the Lamborghini Essenza SC V12. This is a Lamborghini released in the, I think, Italian season. Yeah, the Italian season. And it hasn't come back since the Raging Bull season in those terrible key packs that no one should buy. And yeah, I mean, it's not that great of a car unless it's maxed out. And maxing it isn't that easy. So that's why you don't really see it a lot in multiplayer. Moving into A class, we have the Citroen GT by Citroen as our first rare car in Asphalt 9 multiplayer. Now, this car is not bad by any means. You'd expect it to be a king since it is the fastest car in A class and it can go over 400 at gold. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not used nearly as much as it should be. Its top speed is definitely its best stat overall. It's also the fastest A-class car, and I've already mentioned that. But its handling and drifting is sluggish, its acceleration is very bad, and its nitro efficiency is not the greatest, which doesn't help with the sluggish handling and the acceleration. And also, it's not an easy car to obtain, being in a Drive Syndicate and just now coming back in an Unleashed event. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not the hardest car to obtain, but it's not good at 1 star, and maxing it is pretty expensive. So overall, people don't really max it because the Imola, Valhalla, and Countach, and even the Huayra BC is better than this car. So that's why you don't see it too often. Our second car in A-Class is the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster. And funny story, this is actually my dream car in real life. So it's kind of sad to see it not get used that much in Asphalt 9. But anyway, yeah, it's not even a bad car. It's pretty much the same thing as an Aventador J. But I guess it is a lot harder to obtain as it only came out in an Unleashed event and the Drive Syndicate of this season. It's not the easiest car to obtain, and even if you did obtain it at 1 star, it probably wouldn't do much for you in multiplayer. You'd probably need this car at least 4 to 6 stars to be able to do good in multiplayer, and that is pretty expensive if you ask me. But yeah, overall, it's a nice looking car. Obviously, it's my favorite, and yeah, it's just a little expensive to max, and that's why you don't see it in multiplayer too much, but I wish it was used a little more. And our third car in A-Class is the Lamborghini Countach LPI 800-4. You knew this was coming, guys. I mean, it was in the Raging Bull season, Legend Pass car, probably the hardest Legend Pass car to obtain in this entire game. So yeah, you had to reach tier 50 to get the key in the Legend Pass for the Raging Bull season, but you had to have all the other support Lamborghinis pretty much completely maxed. That included like the Diablo GT, the Miura Concept, the Sesto Elemento, and pretty much all the Lambos needed to be maxed in order to get this car. And yeah, it was totally bullcrap. So yeah, it's a rare car, and but it is very good though, being third best in A class. And yeah, it's just really rare because it's hard to obtain. So if it was a little easier to obtain, I think it wouldn't be that rare at all. Our first honorable mention in A class is the Ferrari 812 Superfast. I have seen this car a couple times, so that's why it is an honorable mention, but it is not used nearly as much as the Bugatti Huayra BC or the Aventador J. Our next car is the Jaguar CX-75. Now, this car is actually pretty funny because I feel like a lot of people have actually forgot about this car being an A-class. So, yeah, it's for that reason alone, it's just really rare. And our final honorable mention is the Porsche 911 GT2 RS Club Sport. Now, this car is not as rare as all the other ones I've listed off. It's actually the most rare A-class car on this list. But I just wanted to include it because I don't see it too often. It was released in an Unleashed event and a Grand Prix a while back. So I would think it's not the hardest car to obtain and max for that matter. But yeah, I never see it. Moving into S-Class, we have the Vision 1789 to start us off. Now this car was released in the New Breed Rival season and it was actually free to unlock. Now if you wanted to star this car up to a good amount, you would have to spend tokens on it in the token packs. Now here's the thing though, this car is not worth spending tokens on. Mine is at 2 stars and I 2-starred it for free and I left it there. And I think the reason why you never see a multiplayer is because it's kind of like a Terzo Millennio clone. I mean, it looks the same and it drives the same. So it's nothing special and it's not worth spending tokens on, especially when the Regera came back that season. So yeah, there is no point in spending tokens on this car. Not even a 3-star. Leave it at 2 stars if you have it. It's fine. And yeah, it's not a fun car to drive. Can't do punches or floaties. It's boring as hell. And I hate this car a lot. And I think a lot of people do because it's never seen a multiplayer. And our second car in S-Class is the Razor Tachyon Speed. This car, my gosh, is terrible. Even at max, it is so terrible to drive. I hate driving this car so much. And that's the reason why I did not even go for it in the Grand Prix. Yes, I know I should go for every Grand Prix car, even if it sucks like this one. But this car is so bad. Even Lycans and Iconas can probably beat this car. I don't know. It's not good at all. So I highly recommend not spending tokens on this car. If it ever comes back for free, just try to unlock it and don't start up at all because it's such a terrible and useless car. And our last S-Class car is the Toridian 1MW. This car was released in the Electric season in a Legend Pass exclusive special event. I actually made a video a long time ago on this car. I analyzed the special event and gave my reviews on it. It was a terrible video. Don't watch it. But yeah, this car is pretty good. It's actually one of the best cars in the game. It's really agile. It has decent nitro efficiency, decent acceleration, and pretty good top speed. The only problem with this car is it's kind of hard to obtain because the special event was not so easy. And yeah, it hasn't really came out ever since. So yeah, and spending tokens on this car is not a bad idea, honestly, but you know, it takes a lot of tokens to max this car out if you really wanted it max. But it can do pretty good damage in multiplayer against even some kings if driven well. But yeah, it's pretty rare because of how hard it is to max. And our honorable mention for S-Class is the Jaguar XJ220S TWR. This car was obtainable in the British Tour season in a Grand Prix. And yeah, its performance does not stand out at all. Its performance is pretty mid, honestly. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So its top speed is not that good for S-Class, and its acceleration is also not that good. It's the lowest in the class, actually. Its handling and drifting is nothing special. It's nothing to write home about. It's just meh. and its nitro efficiency is actually one of the best in the entire game. That is the only good stat of this car. Everything else is either meh or not that good. So overall, it's a pretty decent car, but yeah, not a lot of people use it because it was only obtainable in a Grand Prix, and it's probably only people who have it at low stars. So congratulations guys, you made it towards the end of the long video. I'm sorry that this video was so long. I just wanted to make a video about the rarest multiplayer cars in Asphalt 9 because I thought it was a decent idea. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of the video, and also comment down below some cars maybe I have missed. I know there's probably a couple I missed. But yeah, this is highly opinion based. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a general idea of what the rare cars are in this game. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.